Hey friends, Lissa here for another video. Today's video is going to be a little bit on the serious side because it's come to my attention that a lot of people who are trying to do a raw vegan or just a vegan diet are completely unaware of the importance of vitamin B12 and vitamin D, and I feel that it would be irresponsible of me not to share my opinion on it. Now, of course, as I want to say, I am not a doctor, I am not a medical professional, I am not even a scientist. I'm just a girl and I've done my research, and you do your research as well, but I am just sharing my 2 cents on the B12 thing, and you can take it or leave it, but again, I just want to share because it would be irresponsible of me not to share my opinion. So I have some notes that I will look down at every so often just to make sure that I get everything that I want to say. Number 1, get tested. Not everybody needs to supplement, but a lot of us do. Even 1 in 6 meat eaters, according to what I've read, can be deficient in vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is essential for brain function, for nerve function, for so many different things, and a lot of people, if they go on a vegan or a raw vegan diet after a certain period of time, you do become deficient because you're not actually consuming any, and I'll get to that in a little bit, because there's a lot of people who say that the vegan diet is incomplete simply because of vitamin B12. Again, I'm going to go into that. So you want to get tested, and you want to make sure that you are aware of what your body needs and what your levels are at, so that you can make the appropriate choices as to whether or not you should be supplementing. Now, also I want to say that I supplement vitamin B12 and I supplement vitamin D. Now, vitamin D, I supplement because I live in Canada, and I know there are some studies out there that say that you can make vitamin D at certain altitudes, but I don't like going outside in the cold. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go outside when it's minus 15, even minus 20, or even minus 40, because it's too cold and I'm not going to expose myself to that. It's just an unpleasant experience just to get vitamin D, so I'm going to take a supplement. That's my personal opinion. But in the summertime, if I'm outside all day, I'm not going to bother taking it because I'm making enough, and that, again, I will touch on in a little bit here. Okay, a lot of people are saying that the vegan diet is not our ideal diet because we aren't getting vitamin B12 and most of us aren't getting vitamin D, and that you can get it from animal products. Now, yes, you can get it from animal products, but should we be eating animal products? Because animal products are linked to so many diseases, and now the research that I've been looking at, it's linking it with diabetes and obviously heart disease and cancer. If you read the China study and all of that kind of stuff, watch some of Dr. Greger's videos about meat and how it's linked with stuff. I really trust Dr. Greger, and I will put a lot of links to a lot of what I'm talking about, because I'm just basically regurgitating a lot of what he's said and a lot of what I've researched. So you can check out those links and watch some of his videos, because his information is quite well researched, and I trust him a lot. Now, in animal products, why do the animals have vitamin B12? And because we're consuming them, they have the B12. I know I might seem like I'm all over the place, but this is really important, and I really want to try and get this out properly. Animals consume grass. Grass-fed animals eat the grass, and they're in the dirt, and they poo on themselves, and they walk around in their own poo, and they eat grass around where there's other feces. They drink water just out in the field. The bacteria that makes vitamin B12 it blankets the earth. It's in the soil. It's pretty much everywhere out in the wild or on like farms and things like that. These cows and chickens and pigs and stuff are making the B12 in their colon because they have access to this bacteria in the soil, in the foods, in the feces. So they are actually they're supplementing their B12 by being in the environment that they're in. Now, I'm just guessing, but if you had a piglet that was born and you raised it in a completely sterile environment and its food was washed and everything, and you didn't supplement vitamin B12, I would think that the animal would soon become deficient in B12 because they aren't having access to this bacteria that is producing it in their bodies. Now, we eat their flesh, thus we get it. But this is where I want to talk about being in the wild. There was an experiment done, and again, I will put a link to Dr. Greger's video, but there was an experiment done with vegans that were technically deficient in vitamin B12. Now, their stools were tested, and they produced naturally a very high amount of B12. So they were confused why they were, but it turns out they were producing it too far down in their colons to be absorbed. So these vegans ate their own feces, and their vitamin B12 deficiency miraculously went away because they were actually getting the bacteria from the feces. Now, this is my theory. Because I believe that we are natural frugivores, so eating fruits, nuts, seeds, berries, leafy greens, fruiting vegetables, what else? Yeah, basically fruitarian diet. But we also lived in the wild. We also, we're talking way back in the day, before toilets and toilet paper and hand washing and all of that. We probably touched our own feces. And I know that's gross, but it's fact. Because when we were wild animals, we didn't think about that kind of stuff. So we naturally had it on our hands, and that we would go pick berries or whatever and eat it and get that bacteria from our own body secretions. The bacteria in our colon would make the B12, we'd poop it out, and we would, you would touch it. I mean, our ancestors used to eat about 100 grams of fiber a day, so they probably pooed a lot, and they probably touched it, and then they probably ate without washing their hands because it wasn't a concept for them back then. This is just my theory, guys. You can take it or leave it. Anyways, so I believe that if you're a vegan in the wild, not eating any animal products, you probably had access to this vitamin from the soils, from other animals' excrements, from mountain water, according to what Dr. Greger says. We probably drank it downstream and stuff. So the vegan diet without B12 in the wild is completely possible. I completely believe that we didn't even have to worry about B12 way back in the day. Now, that's where modern civilization comes in. We traded sanitation for vitamin B12 deficiency. Now, I'm not saying sanitation is a bad thing, because I like to be clean and I like to wash my hands, and I like the fact that we don't die of cholera and our water's clean and all of that, but we traded that in exchange for B12 deficiency. So when a lot of people say that they don't believe in supplementing vitamin B12, that's their prerogative. They've done their research, and that's completely fine with me. But this is for the people who have no idea. And because we've traded sanitation for B12 deficiency, we still need to get the B12 somewhere. And that's why I personally believe that it's completely okay to supplement vitamin B12. I don't mind. I would rather get the vitamin B12 some way instead of touching my feces, or, I don't have access to a farm. I don't even have access to a garden. I mean, the soil is covered in this bacteria, but go to the grocery store. There's not very much dirt on the vegetables. They're all cleaned and sprayed and sanitized. We barely ever get a natural source of this bacteria. So living in modern society, living in cities and driving cars and, sterilizing our homes and things like that are, yes, they are good because we're not suffering from those bacteria, but we still need B12. I guess what I'm saying is that it's okay to take a supplement. It's totally okay because we would have been getting it in the wild, and we don't live in the wild. If you live out on an acreage or on a farm or something like that, and you grow your own vegetables, you probably don't need to take a supplement because you're probably getting enough of that bacteria in your colon and creating your own B12. But again, you need to get tested. We need to get tested because we live in modern society. These things are not readily available to us. I mean, I'd love to have a garden and I'd love to live out in the wild. And I mean, I'm going to go foraging for food and stuff, but how often is that going to be? Our ancestors in the wild who foraged all day long. They didn't have jobs, they didn't have, you know, things that distracted them, and they didn't live in sanitary houses. They basically walked the earth and, you know, got dirty and picked their foods and just ate them the way they were. It was a very different world back then. So because we evolved with this bacteria, we need to get it in our diets. So all of that said, it's okay to take a supplement, and when I touch on vitamin B or vitamin D, it's okay to take vitamin D as well. You know, again, get tested, because your doctor or medical practitioner will know what you need based on your blood tests, and you can move forward that way. Now, I take a methylcobalamin B12. It's a sublingual that I take under my tongue, and I try to get the vegetarian version, obviously, because I don't want to harm animals. And my vitamin D3 is a liquid form, and I take that as well on days where I am not in the sun. So that is just my take, and I wanted to share with all of you guys. If you like or don't like this video, I just wanted to share what my personal beliefs are on that subject. So if you guys liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and comment below if you want to. Please subscribe to my channel, and you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and 2grand, all at Raw Food Romance. So I hope you guys can enjoy some sun. At least it's sunny today here. I'm gonna go make some vitamin D. So until the next video, guys, fruit on.